So, Laila Cunningham, Reform UK's candidate for the London Mayor, went on Piers Morgan Uncensored to talk about Islam, immigration and grooming gangs, and ended up storming off in disgust. I mean, she had a lot to say. She was fired up, she was passionate, she was ready to fight every single person on that panel. She was throwing haymakers left, right, and how about radical Islam isn't a national threat, and how the grooming gangs cover-up was a disgrace, and how politicians bow down to the Muslim bloc vote, the full Reform Greatest Hits compilation. And look, some of what she said wasn't even wrong. The grooming gang scandal was a national disgrace, the cover-up was appalling. I mean, nobody serious disputes that. But here's the thing about Laila's performance, and I do mean performance. She spent the entire debate screaming at everyone else for deflecting.
Yeah, honestly, listening to some of your panel it's so infuriating. Calling concerns about immigration propaganda is really disrespectful to the ordinary person. It assumes that they can't think for themselves. It assumes that, if only the approved narrative is allowed. People live with the consequences every day of mass migration, housing, wages, schools. That's not propaganda.
I have a response.
Can you hear me, sorry?
Yeah.
Hello?
No, it is propaganda.
Yeah, we can hear you, Laila. Keep going,
You
yeah.
have to believe it.
No, hang on. Can I just finish? The British public are not sheep. They don't need permission from commentators like the ones on your panel to talk about what's happening in their country.
And then someone mentioned Nick Candy. Now, for those who don't know, Nick Candy is a billionaire property developer. He's also the treasurer of Reform UK Limited, and his name appears in the Epstein files. Now, that doesn't mean he did anything criminal, because being mentioned in those files covers a range of connections. But it is a fact that Reform UK's treasurer appears in the documents connected to one of the most prolific child sex trafficking operations in modern history. So when Crank raised this to a woman who's just spent 20 minutes demanding everyone face uncomfortable truths about child sexual exploitation, you'd think she'd engage with it, wouldn't you? You'd think that the woman who'd said
the cover-up is just as big as the abuse that happens, and that
would at least acknowledge that, maybe her own party's treasurer having his name in the Epstein files is worth a conversation. Instead, she said this.
Right.
we're not talking about Nick Candy.
Yep, you saw it right there. The woman that told everyone to stop deflecting, deflected. The woman who accused Labour of covering up grooming gangs to protect the bloc vote suddenly didn't want to discuss her own party treasurer's Epstein connection. Funny how that works, isn't it? And it gets better, because when pushed even slightly, she said,
Nick Candy is in the Epstein files. Did he know Ghislaine Maxwell? What's your response?
And has he done any wrongdoing? And
what's your response?
And has he done any wrongdoing by being in the Epstein
The question
files?
is open.
You met him for a business deal.
Right.
We're not talking about Nick Candy. We're talking about
He's the treasurer
immigration.
of your party.
How is that related?
Of course.
You
He's
cannot
donated $1
argue
million
your
pounds.
argument. So you're picking on random stuff that have no relevance. I got to go. Bye, Piers.
That's
Sorry,
exactly
we have
what
a rally.
you're doing. Oh, no, you can't force a debate. No, you have to run away. This has not been pure Israeli
To be fair,
propaganda.
hang on, Cenk.
random stuff. The Epstein files involving the trafficking and sexual abuse of children and teenagers are just random stuff. But when it's Pakistani men in Rotherham, it's a national emergency that demands immediate action, and anyone who doesn't treat it with the seriousness that it deserves is an enemy of the British people. She literally runs away, walked off the show, couldn't handle 30 seconds of same scrutiny that she spent the entire segment dishing out. And Andrew Gold, who supposedly is on her side, tried to cover her by saying that she left because the other panellists had an IQ of about 7.
Can I solve it?
To be
Can
fair,
I solve it? Can I solve it?
You guys, it has been. It's unbelievable the answers you guys have been giving, because it's just been all deflection.
Right, that's why she left. Nothing because someone mentioned 3 words that she couldn't handle. Nick, Candy, Epstein. Let's just pause and appreciate the sheer brass neck of this. Laila Cunningham's entire argument was that politicians protect abusers for political convenience. That's the establishment turns a blind eye to child exploitation because confronting it is too uncomfortable. That cowardice in the face of hard truth is what has allowed grooming gangs to operate for decades. And when someone pointed out the spotlight is on her own party, she grabbed a coat and legged it. And this is what Reform does. Every single time. They wrap themselves in the flag, they invoke the suffering of grooming gang victims as a political weapon, and the second you ask them an awkward question about their own house, they crumble. And she doesn't really care about child exploitation. I mean, if she did, she'd want every connection to Epstein files investigated, including her own party treasurers. She'd welcome that scrutiny. She'd say, absolutely, let's look into it, because unlike other politicians who've covered up grooming gangs, we've got nothing to hide. But she didn't say that, did she? And that tells you everything you need to know about Reform UK's Limited's commitment to protecting children. It extends precisely as far as it's politically useful and not 1 millimetre further.